Okay then, here we go. So this is the Thai pilot episode, the pilot episode of a podcast that we're going to be trying to do. It's a Star Wars based podcast. We're going to call it the Parsec podcast. We're going to cover every parsec of the galaxy. My name is Alfie Toonhill, and my esteemed colleague there, his name is Lamel. Without further ado, we're going to get into it. The first episode here is just basically getting to know us and what Star Wars means to us. So we'll start. Lamel, can you tell me, in your own words, what Star Wars means to you and your first memory of Star Wars?
Well, first of all, hiya viewers. Obviously, Star Wars is a big part of, has been a big part of my life since, I don't know when. If I'm being honest with you, I was that young. I remember watching the original trilogy on video. Is it V? I can't remember what it is now. VHS, is it?
VHS, right, yeah. That's how much of a throwback it is.
Yeah. But I remember having all three of them on video, and obviously when you're that age, you're just amazed with the amount of stuff that goes on. Luke Skywalker's a hero, But yeah, that's my earliest memory, and it was always a favourite of mine, and it still is to this day. So
good stuff. My earliest memory of it is really the Phantom Menace. Before the original trilogy, I'd never seen it. It was sort of during the time where the Phantom Menace was heavily getting promoted. So I'd probably say the first memory I've got is probably Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Because obviously he was the big baddie in the episode
cool
1.
Double-sided lightsaber.
That's right. And I always remember, I don't know why this sticks with me, is the VHS, the box. It was, it had the black, but also had it was a gold actual case.
Aye, yeah.
So for some reason that sticks with me as well. And the original art with Darth Maul, young Anakin, and the pod racers. So that's always stuck with me. But Star Wars is, what it's meant to be fun. It's a release. It's a getaway from reality. Sometimes I think people take it too seriously. But there is no point falling out with anyone over a pretend series. I understand.
It does happen.
Get passionate about it, but take a step back and realise it's a getaway from work. It's a getaway from whatever hardships going on in your life. Just don't take it that seriously. Exactly.
Especially this year with everything that's going on, it's just something that obviously me and you want to do and give back to people that maybe don't have
enjoy it.
Yeah,
just enjoy it.
Yeah, just enjoy it.
Enjoy the good parts, forget the bad parts.
Exactly.
And that sort of ties into another question, why are we doing this? Why have two Scottish guys just decided to, out of nowhere, we'll just start a podcast. What will we do it on? We both like football. However, that's a bit divisive, and you can't have a rational discussion about football without turning it into what we've just said.
Well, exactly. I mean, we're both, yourself, you're a Man United fan, I'm an Arsenal fan. We have that kind of bickering and rivalry as well, but it's all at good heart, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I think for the both of us, what made us kind of friends is our love for Star Wars as well. And
that's
particularly over the last couple of years, The Mandalorian, The Clone Wars, Rebels, all those kind of things.
Exactly, yeah. And obviously, and also the spin-offs and the sequel trilogy. Yeah. It's got its haters. We both have certain bits that we love, certain bits that we don't particularly like about the sequel trilogy, but it all...
Exactly. Certain things we would change about it.
Like the force that binds us.
Yeah, exactly. It's the basically the glue that holds the galaxy together.
Exactly. So basically, this is just an outlet, for a creative outlet you know, if you don't like it, that's fine. We're not asking everyone to like it, but it's an opportunity for discussion, try to build a little community, and generally just try and have a good time. It's an outlet for us to use our spare time creatively, so that we're not just sitting in front of the Xbox like we normally do, and you know, just doing stuff. So yeah. So and another thing is like, I think what's maybe put us off doing this previously is the fear of being ridiculed.
Yeah.
However,
definitely.
You know, we're both adults here, thick-skinned, and you know, if it fails, it fails. But at least we tried.
Yeah, exactly. And we're doing something that we like as well. So whoever ridicules you for something that you like, you know, you shouldn't let anyone get in the way of what you like.
Exactly.
So just
And
do
as I
what
said,
makes you happy.
we're thick-skinned, so that's fine. You know, we can take abuse. So we can take, you know, getting the Michael taken out of us. But for those people that can't, come and join in. This is a place where no hate, just enjoy, and you know, try and build a fun little community that's all based around the love of Star Wars.
Exactly. And if you have any suggestions about anything you want to hear about, or if you want us to discuss, then please put it in the comments. We're open to any kind of, you know, feedback in general, but obviously
good and bad. You know, that we're both new to this, so we need to see how it goes. Okay, Lamel. So, as we said, this podcast, this episode 1 podcast, basically just to get to know us and, you know, like basically just discuss our initial thoughts and feelings about Star Wars. So,
of course.
But as I said, before we hit record, we thought, what sort of broad questions can we ask so that we can get a feel of what we like, what we don't like, and then we can move on to different sections for the following podcast. So the first big question really here is, out of all the Star Wars movies, not spin-offs or anything like that.
Not TV shows.
Not TV shows, not spin-offs. So out of the movies, what's your favourite movie and why?
Well, my favourite movie has to be The Empire Strikes Back. Mainly because there's one reason, and it's a very silly reason, but it's the one I remember watching the most when I was younger, on VHS, obviously. And also, it was the one I had the most toys from. You know, when you got the wee Star Wars characters, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I had Han Solo in his long jacket.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Tauntaun figure. I had snowtroopers. I had Luke Skywalker in the full Hoth gear with a blue lightsaber. I had a Wampa. A Wampa character. I mean, I used to sit there for hours and just make up scenarios and all that. It was great. But yeah, definitely. But that's two of my reasons. But the main reason is that I just feel Empire just blew everything out of the water, especially with the big mic drop in the last the final act, the full film. But yeah. I mean, it's still one of my favourite films to this day, if I'm being honest with you. I'll put that on if I'm bored. So, but yeah. But, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I think I would like to hear yours as well. So,
well, kind of stole my thunder a bit there, because Empire Strikes Back is my favourite film as well, out of all of them. The main reason is it's sort of the first bit where you sort of see Luke coming to his own a bit. You know, you seen him obviously in A New Hope destroying the Death Star, but up until that point, you know, he hadn't really done much. You know, it's 3 films. At this point, it was only 3 films. So this is a bit where you got like real character building. So obviously, you know, at the start, he gets attacked by the Wampa. He has to try and find his way out of there. Then he goes to Dagobah, and you know, he has the pretend. He does have the pretend fight with Darth Vader. And the Force
vision.
Is it like a Force cave or a Force, like the Force woods and that?
I I think it's just a Force vision, but he does go into a cave. I think that's that's why Yoda's there, because it's Force sensitive.
Like
And
when I was
like
younger, I didn't have a Scooby Doo. What was actually happening in that scene? I was like, well, what's happening here? And then it's only
what's
until
Vader
you
doing there?
exactly, and it's like, well, why is Luke's face in that mask? And
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
but then, obviously, as you go back and you watch and you learn and you watch and you rewatch, you understand little bits more and more each time you watch. And then, obviously, yeah,
definitely.
you see the main hero. You see him effectively get schooled by Vader, get beat. You know,
Yeah.
he gets his hand chopped off, and then he thinks, "Can I do
How
this?"
how do I go on? Yeah,
Yoda tells him not to go, and because of he's arrogant, he goes.
yeah, yeah. It's a path that he's on that's similar to Anakin in the prequels. That his arrogance gets the better of him on that one, and that's exactly why it's called Empire Strikes Back, because obviously Luke's the New Hope. He blows up the Death Star in A New Hope, and the Empire are striking back. So they've not only flattened the rebels at Hoth, they've sent them on the run, but Vader's also flattened Luke
Mm-hmm.
by chopping off his hand, defeating him at Cloud City. So it kind of leaves it in the balance, if you will, between the
Yeah,
two films, the first two original films, if you will.
yeah. Also, in A New Hope, the rebels at the end of that happy days, they've won. Second film, the Empire, they come out on top. What I think is an interesting theory that I've heard is, and if you look at Luke in A New Hope, he's wearing white
Mhm.
to sort of represent innocence, pure light side, because he's
Yeah,
just a good
yeah,
guy. In the middle, he's sort of wearing grey colours,
yeah. It's like a sandy grey, isn't it?
so that he's learning about the Force, and obviously bad things are happening to him. Then in Return of the Jedi, he's wearing black to
Yeah,
indicate maybe that he could potentially fall with the dark side. And obviously,
exactly. Yeah,
and then Luke obviously learns, past Jedi have failed by, potentially not using dark side powers. I think Luke's more a guy that it's not what powers you use, it's for what reason you use them, it's how you use them.
well, I think we've certainly seen that in the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Spoilers alert, but yeah, especially at the end when he does what he does to the droid,
Exactly.
it's that's a dark side. That's the dark side coming out of him. But there's always been that discussion that Luke's a grey Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
which use both the dark and the light to not manipulate things, but for their
For the
not their own
great
benefit, but for the greater
for
good.
the greater good, yeah. I think it's a
So
solid
it's
point. Do you think Luke would ever use that sort of crushing power against a human being?
I wouldn't say so. Maybe in dire circumstances, but probably the dark side of him would get the better of him if, say he had no other choice. Say
Uh-huh.
he was on the ground and like a Sith was going to, slice him. He would use that to obviously save himself or save whoever's. Say a Sith was going to slice down Leia for perhaps before she's in her training. Like
Yeah.
he would do that, but I don't think it would be a full crush. I think it would be a pull. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
it wouldn't be a fatal blow. Because I think he wouldn't do that with anger.
no,
He
no,
would just do that
exactly.
for protection sort of reasons. But anyway, so what we'll do then is obviously because we both said The Empire Strikes Back and just to spice things up, what is the next best film, do you think, out of all of them, apart from Empire?
Oh, I'll let you have the honours and going first with
Right,
that
well, I
one.
wanted, I wanted time to think about that, but it's fine. I've got two in my mind. I'm just thinking, it changes from a day to day basis. So what do I think right now? I'm
Well,
going to.
I've actually got mine, so I
I
mean I
think
can
I'm. I
go if
think
you
I'm
want.
going to say it. Like you go. I'll let you go because I've got mine to pick, but I'll let you go because I think we're going to
Right,
pick the
okay,
same one again.
okay. it's a very, in my opinion, it's the one that kind of kicks off a lot of things, and it's the Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that definitely wasn't the same one. Right, go for it. Why do you think that's the second best film?
it's the start of, I think it's the beginning of Star Wars. I think the Phantom Menace in its own is a good film. It's a fun film. It's good. You know, I liked Jar Jar Binks
Yeah, I
when I
don't get
was
the
younger.
hate. I understand,
I don't get
like
the hate.
he's annoying, but he's meant to be
Yeah,
annoying. Like
but it's for kids.
he does his part.
It was for the kids, and that's. I had a Jar
Exactly.
Jar toy when I was younger. It was like a cuddly toy when it first came
Jesus,
out, and
that must have been
everywhere.
that must have been terrifying.
Oh, it was. It was horrifying, but I loved it. I loved it. You know what I mean? And I took it everywhere. I've got a memory of going. I actually got it in Edinburgh in one of the tacky tourist shops. I don't know why it was there, but they had Jar Jar Binks and R2D2s on sale, and I pleaded with my mum, "Can I get it?" It was only, I can't remember what price it was. I was only like 7 or 8 at the time, but it was one of my favourite toys for ages. But yeah, I mean, Attack of the, like Phantom Menace. That starts everything off. It's a nice reintroduction to young Obi-Wan. Where did he come from? You know, who was his master? And young Anakin coming into the fold as well. And also returning characters like C-3PO, R2-D2, all that kind of thing. But Attack of the Clones is really where it kicks off for me. In regards to, that's the start of the Clone Wars, which then leads on to the Clone Wars series and opens up for Anakin to turn to the dark side and all that kind of thing. And we see throughout that film Anakin's kind of fall to the dark
The
side.
start of the fall, yeah.
Yeah,
What
especially
would
with the Sand people.
Yeah, what I would say is going back to when I originally went, when I was a child watching it, Hayden Christensen's performance Anakin in that film, I hated it
A lot
because
of people did.
whiny, like he's meant to be the chosen one. Why is he such a little brat? However, again, you get to know the character Anakin,
Yep.
and in my opinion, it's the best performance. Like the guy does not he doesn't deserve to have his. That's all he's known for is Anakin. He didn't get anything after that, and I don't think
Yeah,
that's fair because I think the role he was asked to play, he played it to a T.
he did. He did.
And
He did. And it should have. That's the way it was meant to be played. And a lot of people will moan about it, but it was the fact that he, in a way, didn't want to be what the Jedi were wanting him to be.
mm-hmm.
And that's why he was moaning. And then that's why I'm just going to, like Mace Windu, Samuel, he took a disliking to him. So it's, we never
in
got
the
an
in the
MS bomb,
film,
but
but not in real
yeah.
life. He made it sounded like Samuel didn't. Was like, yeah, I don't like that. Hey, that was a terrible act. We'll move on for that.
Oh, we've not got any American viewers, so I do apologise about that.
I know. They'll be like, dislike. Right. Anyway, and obviously the big battle scene at the end.
Yeah, I
Where
mean,
that was the first time we really saw like
the
masses of
Jedi in
Jedi
action.
with their lightsabers and things like that. That's
Yeah,
the first time we
exactly.
saw Mace Windu's purple lightsaber, eh?
It was, yeah, actually, because we only seen him kind of wandering about the Jedi Temple before that, didn't we?
That's right.
Um, um
What There is one funny
sorry,
bit
mate.
in Attack of the Clones where Padme and Anakin are going into the Geonosian droid factory, and Anakin doesn't bend down far enough, and his head just goes straight through the CGI door.
I've never seen that.
You'll never not notice it now. You'll
Oh, I'll
notice
need to
it
watch that tonight, I think.
constantly, aye. But fair play. That definitely wasn't the pick that I was going for. My second best film, I would say Rogue One.
Oh, I thought we were sticking to trilogy. So I do
No,
apologise. I do like that, but I still stick with. I stand by my choice. But
yeah, that's fair play. No, I was in this section. It was just movies, like any Star Wars movie.
mhm.
So yeah, mine would be Rogue One for the point. As I thought it was very good how effectively the main cast, the main characters, we didn't know, brand new
Yeah,
characters, and within one standalone film, I thought the characters were very relatable. We're also now getting a Cassian series.
yeah, yeah,
K,
and Rogue Squadron as well.
yep, K2SO, brilliant character, very funny. His death scene, it was quite sad when he was actually
Oh,
trying to stick up for Jin. He was trying to protect her, and then
mhm.
it was worth the price for the ticket alone for the end scene with Darth Vader.
Yeah,
The,
yeah,
the It was the first time we'd seen Darth Vader in a live action sense be badass.
yeah. And that's exactly how we want to see. It's. I want to see a peak Vader. A peak like proper nasty evil.
Oh, aye, like an R-rated,
Yeah,
not gory, but a violent Darth Vader series
yeah. I mean,
film, maybe in Kenobi, an Obi-Wan Kenobi
yeah.
series. Like
I
if we
don't think
could,
it'll be R rated, but I think we will see a bit of his nastiness.
like, I would like him to be brutal,
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
but
Like proper like he was there, like
yeah,
dragging folk towards him and that.
that's right. And I think if you notice in the last episode of the Mandalorian, when Luke comes up the lift, I think it's meant to be a mirrored image of that scene.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It looks that way. Looks that way.
You did not mean that.
I didn't
You're
mean
not
that at
clever
all.
enough to mean that.
No, no.
And also in the last, I don't know if it was the very last episode, but in the last arc of the Clone Wars, when Darth Maul's walking through the ship, the
The ship.
halls of the ship, again,
Yeah,
I felt like that was very much an homage to it as well.
that was brutal. That scene.
But what I liked, I'll never forget this. But I was in the cinema with you, and obviously, I think you hear him coming through the door, and
Yeah, you just
obviously
the
in the
door.
cinema it's really loud. So I was like, "What's happening here?" I didn't know he was there, and then it's just the ignition of his lightsaber, and you're
Yeah,
like,
I think you hear like one breath. It's like,
"Yeah,
and it's the lightsaber ignites, and then he just starts tearing through people.
it's unbelievable." The one bit when I saw it at the cinema, I was like, wait a minute here." It's when the ship, the one the one that they released where Princess Leia's on, and it gets
Yeah,
away from him when he's standing on the ledge. I was like, why is he not getting sucked into space? But it's like they've got like a ray shield sort of thing,
yeah,
like
yeah.
what
There's
what we just saw in the last episode of the Mandalorian. When remember when they knock the stormtrooper off the bridge
yeah,
and he
yeah.
falls through it. It's like that
That
sort of
was
a thing.
that was strange, but like then basically it's just like a big, oxygen bubble, really. A ray shield.
Effectively. But
Like if you can fall through it, then it's just like a bubble.
yeah. So on the flip side, what would you say is your least favourite? Because we're going to be positive here. We're not going to say the worst. What's your least favourite?
My least favorite, I think, a lot of people's the same, is The Last Jedi. For the simple reason is it went a totally different direction and it had so much more they could have done with it.
Yep.
The one thing I do like about The Last Jedi is the opening scene where the ship, with all the wee frigates coming towards it.
And the Dreadnought.
Yeah, and then the camera, how it just comes down through them
Yeah.
onto the planet.
Yeah.
I loved that.
That
That
was
was
good.
great.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
I think the overall bit, they can't, like you said, the Cantabite bit, there's no need for that to be in the story. Rose, I think, pointless character.
Yep.
Didn't need it at all.
Like how many
Finn,
times have we discussed that?
Yeah, we discussed it over pints after pint after pint of lager, and we get quite into it, But like again, we've discussed this before as well. At the end, when Finn's staring the barrel of the cannon down, he should have died there. That would have been a good death for him.
Yeah.
In the film, obviously, no death's good, but you know what I mean. It's just one of those films that it's like there's so many unanswered questions in the sequel trilogy. Like, I know it was answered in the comics, but where did where did they get Luke's lightsaber?
Yeah,
I know Ugnaught found it, but
that's terrible. It's so boring.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
but
for me, I agree with that. The Last Jedi is my least favourite.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, with The Last Jedi, I do think the throne room fight scene is top notch. It's top tier.
Yeah.
Like when Kylo and Rey work together, I think it's brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah.
Negatives that I would take, a canto bite scene, like just dragged. DJ, like unnecessary character.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah, I mean,
Rose, DJ, I feel like these are action figure characters.
Yeah.
Purposely put into the film
money
to sell merch.
Yeah. Exactly.
The evil BB-8 droid. In the promotion for that film, there was loads and loads and loads of promotion around this droid. It was in the film for 2 seconds. The exact same with Dio in
The
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, he was not in it as much as I thought he was going to be. He was even in the trailer. But we never seen much of him. But yeah, I mean, it is one of those films that's, I'll not just put on, but if I'm watching, if I say to myself, right, I'm going to watch, episode 1 right through to episode 9, including Rogue One and Solo as well, which I thought was a brilliant film.
That's when you'd watch it.
I'd watch it then, I'd maybe skip the candlelight part.
Well, let's the positives about The Last Jedi. As we said, the fight scene, the reveal of Yoda, like the Force Ghost.
Yeah,
that was good.
The seeing the island where the Jedi basically started.
Yeah, well, the first Jedi temple.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, with Yoda turning back up, the new force abilities of the Force Ghosts, physically, they could physical touch.
Yeah.
When it hits them with the stick.
There's a funny video of that actually, which I will show you later on. But Hardcore loves that.
One thing I will say is, see when Yoda died, did his stick die?
Well, that's what I thought. Like, it's made of wood, so it was dead already. If it's been chopped off a tree.
Like, why did if Yoda's a ghost, why doesn't he just walk and stick?
Also, I know it's edited now, right? But see Yoda, when he died, how did he die and still have the walking stick and still stay old when Anakin dies? He's young again.
Well, the difference with that is that Anakin technically died when he turned into Darth Vader. I was saying that, when was he redeemed? Because at the end,
that's my point.
Yeah.
I don't think that was thought all the way through, but I wouldn't change it now.
No, it was a nice touch. Not for the guy that played Anakin to start with. He's been shafted out his bit. But I think just to turn it all together, yeah.
Yeah. And it would be good to see, Hayden Christensen back for the Kenobi series as well. That's another thing. Is
definitely.
Well, yeah.
That's our thoughts on worst, least good, if that's proper England. Okay, Lamel. Next up, let's discuss our favourite scene in any Star Wars. Doesn't have to be films. It could be Disney Plus programs, Mandalorian, animated, anything you like. What's your favourite scene?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Thanks to letting us know.
You're all weak. No, I think I've got a couple. But my favourite scene, because when I was young it came out, was the Phantom Menace, the end fight scene between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. I just think for the time, what was it? The episode 1 came out, what, 1998, 1999?
1999, 99, I think.
I mean, for the time, I mean, we're talking 22 years ago now. Brilliant. The visual effects were just out of this world, weren't they?
I think that particular, I assume, are you taking just the lightsaber battle?
The lightsaber, but it's like the full aspect of the whole scene, the setting,
Yeah.
The way Ray Park as Darth Maul moves about, and he actually does all that.
Yeah, I think that still stands up today. I think visually it looks brilliant. There's just in Star Wars, there's the odd bit that just looks bad. Like if you like in the sort of the touch ups where like Jabba's barge is going to the sand, you've just got to suspend reality there. Well, if you're watching Star Wars, you just suspend reality. But that scene in particular, or when Luke's speeder's going into the Mos Eisley, yeah.
Mos Eisley.
The touch-ups they've done there, it doesn't look great, but I think
the one that gets me is the Death Star blowing up. I mean, it's just like boom, and it's gone.
Like, the whole bit's gone.
But then in Rise of Skywalker, there's a big massive bit.
Yeah,
or half of the Death Star pretty much lying on the planet. It's like, well, where did that bit go?
Yeah, I think even like the music during that part is unbelievable. It's the Duel of the Fates. It's pretty iconic.
Well, am I right in saying they play that at Old Trafford when the teams come out?
It's not Old Trafford. I was just thinking myself, where do they play it? They definitely do play it at some football ground. It doesn't matter, but that goes to show how much that piece of music transcends its genre. That it's going into sport to get a football team fired up to go and play 90 minutes.
It is unreal. Like, see when it starts and it's just like, oh no. Like that,
how does it go?
That, like, just like I just did.
You're not going to do it again, no?
No, I'm not doing it again. No. I've already made a fool out of myself once, so I won't be doing it again.
Just the once.
Yes.
Right. So, in particular, like, how do you think Qui-Gon gets a fair death?
I would have liked. I don't know. I don't know how I feel on the matter, because I loved Qui-Gon as a character. I think his death was kind of a turning point for Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't. I think that was his point of, trying to train Anakin the way that Qui-Gon trained him, and that basically gave him the choice to go and be a Jedi Master. For that reason, I would say yes, he does get a fair death, because then it sets up the whole Obi-Wan Darth Maul arc as well. So
I think for me, it's a fair death in the sense of, in The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon is elderly. He's meant to be an older man. And when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are together, they can take Darth Maul. However, once Darth Maul splits them up, after a long battle, he's then singled out Qui-Gon, who,
as the older gentleman.
He's older, he's tired, where he's got this beast, Darth Maul, absolutely battering him. And it also takes an underhanded move by Darth Maul to hit him in the face with his lightsaber hilt to do the blow. Yeah.
Which he does try and do to Obi-Wan in Rebels, but Obi-Wan knows what he's going to do.
That's right. But
by that time, they've fought each other quite a lot of times. So.
That's right. And obviously, Darth Maul's not only he's arrogant, so he thinks, right, I'll do to the apprentice what I done to the master, whereas Obi-Wan is arguably one of the most defensively minded Jedi in history.
Yep.
He's too clever for them all.
Yeah, definitely. By that time, Obi-Wan's a wise old man. Like,
That's right.
He's not even Obi-Wan there. He's Ben Kenobi. He's
right.
wise.
He's protecting Luke.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think we'll see the run up to that in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Do you think so? Do you think Maul will be involved?
I think there's going to be certain aspects of him. I think it'll tie into that. I don't think it's set at the same timeline as Rebels.
No.
I think it's set before that. I think it's 10 years after.
I'm not great on sort of timelines, but yeah, I think it's not far off the events of Revenge of the Sith.
Something I can find out though, for definite, because they do. Mm-hmm. There's lots of timelines on Google and stuff like that people are, guesstimating where everything goes. But normally, they're quite accurate, close to the actual chronological order, because when we went and seen The Force Awakens, from that source, there was like a plot leak for what was then The Last Jedi. That when JJ had all 3 films to begin with, and then they changed it to Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
There was a leak from what JJ's second film should have been like.
Right.
What was meant to be the second in the trilogy. And it also had the third one, and the third one was quite accurate. But we'll never know what the second one was. But it's actually quite accurate, yeah.
Obviously, if you want that information, there is really good YouTube channels out there. Star Wars Theory is, that's I think that's the work he does, brilliant, great information, great fan theories, an inspiration for things like this.
Yeah, I mean, the watch-alongs with The Mandalorian, they were great. Like, I never personally partook in them, but I watched them. Like, I like watching the reaction of people.
Yeah.
Watching them, and I think it's great because it shows you that, like, for myself and yourself, like, we're not the only ones that kind of, would get kind of teary-eyed at certain moments in Star Wars.
Aye. Exactly, yeah.
Definitely.
Like, it's a big part of people's lives.
It is. It's always been a part of my life. And, I grew up, my mum was like, you're too focused on certain things, you should be focused on schoolwork or anything like that. And, it's like, it's not done me any good. So, you've got to just
like what you like.
If you love something, just do it.
Exactly. As long as it's not affecting anybody else.
Yeah.
Right, well. Go ahead, sorry.
Don't do anything stupid.
Great advice. Right, so my favourite scene out of all Star Wars comes from The Force Awakens. And it is when Han Solo gets murdered by Kylo Ren.
Yep.
Now, the reason why I like this scene so much is sort of how it was shot. In Starkiller Base, I don't know if it was a door or a window of some sort, was beaming light from the sun into where Han and Kylo were standing. And at that point, Han was bringing Ben back to the light. And, he was asking him, help me come back. And then as Starkiller Base 10 effectively the sun away.
Recharged,
then the darkness fell. And then Kylo Ren ta'en over Ben again, ignited the lightsaber and killed him. And I think what was integral to that scene is the fact that Chewie was there.
Yeah, like heartfelt.
Exactly. If Chewie wasn't there to notice that, Finn and Rey, they've known Han for what?
5 minutes.
A cup of tea. So obviously they would be upset, but it wouldn't hit as much as Chewie. And obviously, Chewie, for as big and strong as he is, he's a loved character, and if he's in pain, the audience are then in pain.
That leads us right on to The Rise of Skywalker when they pretended to kill Chewie off, which we were sitting in the cinema and you were about to walk out, as I can remember.
Yeah, like I said, right, they can kill anybody, kill Rey, kill Finn, kill them all as long as they leave Chewie. Yeah, that was my one rule.
But that was a moment when I think we were both nearly tearing up in the cinema. That one.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah,
and Harrison Ford finally got what he wanted for Han.
Yeah. Aye, only took them, 30 years? 40 years?
And another thing, like when he turns up back at the Rise of Skywalker, I did see a lot of people like, but he's dead. It's like, well, it's Leia projecting Ben Solo's dad to him to reassure him it's okay to come back to the light. And that's what eventually kills her. She uses all the power to project a vision, a force vision, and it drains her, just like it done with Luke.
Yeah, and I think that was a nice touch to The Last Jedi, to be honest with you. Like, that was one of the things I liked in The Last Jedi, is the fact that it explored the Force a wee bit more, as in what you can do with the Force, what Jedis can do, and what Luke was on that island. Obviously, he'd shut himself off from the Force, but there's reasons behind that, because maybe he delved right into the Force when he was younger, which we're obviously still to find out about, and he maybe didn't like what he's seen or what he was learning. And that's possibly one of the reasons why, he did it to look into the future, obviously, with Kylo.
Yeah.
And, it tied in well, and I could see where, is it Rian or Ryan Johnson?
Ryan.
Rian. Is it?
It's
Ryan
spelled
Johnson?
like Rian, but it is Ryan, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I can see where he was going with it, but I think he just got lost in the film.
Hopefully we'll find out in future installments of what's to come. Right, okay, moving on. The next section that we're going to talk about here is our favourite non-Star Wars movie aspect. So, i.e., what's your favourite non-movie thing? TV show, book, comic. You get the gist. So I'll let you start. Yeah. I'll let you start with this one.
Yeah, no worries. So I've got two. I really like the Marvel Vader comics. I just think they represent what Vader should be.
Are you talking about the sort of one with Silo?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I just think that's like they've put in a comic what Vader is.
Yeah.
And also, you've got to love the Mandalorian as well.
Definitely.
I mean, you love it all, but if I had to pick, for what the Mandalorian is, the work that's going into it just now, with obviously the first and the second series just wrapping up before Christmas there, is incredible.
Definitely.
So yeah, straight to the point. They're kind of my favourite kind of things.
Right. Well, in terms of what you said about the Vader comics, I think the beauty of it being a comic is they're not tied down by animation. They're not tied down by actors. There's they can make
exactly
all the Darth Vader stories that you sort of imagined as a child, or even imagine now what he could get up to. The Jedi's going and slaying things like that. It's the artwork. It's all great. It's all what a Star Wars fan would imagine Darth Vader getting up to, like just unbelievable power,
Yeah.
like it's great filler.
Yeah, I mean, also with the comics as well, though. Like I've read them online, but see, like the illustrations in the comics as well, they're so detailed as well.
Yeah,
in my opinion, which is another thing it's great because it immediately, like,
it draws
you're
you to
looking around
it.
the room. Oh, there's a comic there. Yeah,
Definitely.
It draws your eye to it.
And then moving on to the Mandalorian, obviously, like I don't understand how you could possibly be a Star Wars fan and not love it. Like
It's a space western, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. He is
It's like
a cowboy.
It's like John Wayne meets Rambo meets Star Wars meets,
Yeah.
it's like every kind of action film rolled into one. And I think the second series of that was just phenomenal. Like
100%. Like I've seen a lot of, reporters or, people that get paid to see negative and things saying that it's all just fan service. I don't agree with that at all. I think casual Star Wars fans could watch and enjoy it without not knowing, like, if you look up Arabic, you can see that this actually says Jango Fett, things like that. For people that do know that and that know every single Easter egg, that's just attention to detail from the makers for the hardcore fans, which is brilliant. It's not vital information you need to know to enjoy the story.
No, exactly.
So I think for it to just label it as fan service is a bit disrespectful, actually. I think it's attention to detail for the hardcore fan. That's, it's two people that basically Filoni and Favreau. It's Favreau, sorry. It's two people that love the genre, being given the proper reins to control this thing into something that a Star Wars fan would love. And therefore, if it makes sense to a Star Wars fan, it's going to make sense to a casual viewer. Like, I think, if you hadn't heard anything, if you hadn't watched any other Star Wars, I think you could easily pick up The Mandalorian and just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things that it came out weekly. So it was like you got excited for a Friday.
Yeah.
It was Friday here in the UK, but obviously America, they get it. Is it later or earlier? I don't really know. It depends where you are.
I think they get it on midnight, which would be our 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So obviously, if
we're getting... it was like being a kid again and waiting for, the next episode.
Mm-hmm. And I
before
think
you had on demand and Netflix and all that.
If it gets to the point where you're dying to text your friend to talk about it, but they're on a later shift and you don't want to spoil it, it's to get that excited over a program shows that it's doing its job right.
Well, that was exactly what we did, wasn't it? Like, yeah, I watched it. I was on, I think it was a right early shift at work, and I texted you. I'd watched it, and before I started work for the viewers, and I texted you. I was like, I've watched it. Brilliant again. Not going to spoil it. Let me know when you've watched it. So I didn't know.
How many episodes was that? 6 or 8?
It was 8.
8 for series 2. So every single Friday. Mando's up, bud. We would get that. Have you watched Mando yet, bud? I'm not going to spoil it for you, bud. But it's
never spoiled it though. Not
once. You didn't. Well done. I would have been very angry if you had. But it's for a program to make you feel like you want to discuss it like that. It means it's doing its job right. So basically,
100%.
I'm in 100% agreement. Yeah, I think The Mandalorian is my favourite out with the film. So just in fairness to what we're doing here, I'll say sort of my next thing, which would be, it's hard because I do sort of put Rebels and the Clone Wars on the same level.
Yeah.
But I would just say, because of sort of the characters that we know and love, I'd say the Clone Wars.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Obi-Wan, Anakin, all
watching, and also just the content from one film to the next film, the bridge in between that, it's great for content.
In a very short space of time as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at the gap between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. There's 10 years.
Anakin's grew up.
Yeah, between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, how long is there? Do we actually know?
Don't know about.
It's not that. It's like that.
It's not about 45 years or something like that.
I think it might be because Anakin's had time to, build a new lightsaber, everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
His hair's growing for one. That takes a long time.
Solid character building to show the passage of time from a crew cut to
but you notice how Obi-Wan, he looks more like, as each film goes on, he looks more like old Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
Like, spoiler, they're the same people. But
in the second one, he's got a mullet.
Yeah. It's going right back to 90s.
But yeah, I think for me, the Clone Wars is brilliant. Like, it's so easy to connect to Anakin and Obi-Wan. The Return of Darth Maul says it all.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's just some of the names they got to voice the people as well. Like they had, what was her name? Natalie Portman. She voiced. She played Padme and she also voiced her.
Are you sure?
I think she got replaced. a couple of seasons in, due to obviously work clash and everything like that. And also they had, I'm sure, I've watched a video on this, that said his name earlier. It's gone out of my head. Samuel. I think he did Mace in it.
He did Mace. And I don't know the guy's name. That's my apologies. Is the guy that plays Boba Fett?
Tamara Morrison.
Yeah, like I'm sure, does he not do all the clones?
Yes.
Yeah, which is brilliant. But another thing is also we get Ahsoka, like she's brought into it. And at the start, I think what they done was they made her unlikable at the start.
Almost like a spoiled child.
That's right. And like then, as she sort of takes failings and she learns from them, that's when she starts to become relatable. That, just because you've got these force powers doesn't mean to say you're invincible.
Exactly,
like Luke said, you could have all the potential in the world, but it's nothing without training.
Yep.
So that's
the same in there. Any aspect, though, isn't it?
It's good, character building, and I think a lot of the arcs are really, really good.
Yeah.
And it also shows, how Palpatine manipulated certain parts of the Republic and effectively, turned everybody on everybody.
It's so funny watching it because when you're a kid, when you're a child and you're just looking for the lightsaber versus lightsaber, there's Boba Fett, but not Boba Fett, it's his dad. But I didn't even when I was younger, I realised it was a cloning thing, but I didn't realise how big it was going to be in terms of the Clone Wars and all that. And I think watching it as an adult, you see how much politics comes into it.
Yeah.
In terms of Palpatine and
I also think in terms of Clone Wars, so this was originally aired on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
I have no idea how, because although it is a cartoon, there's some parts that are very dark, like Satine getting force choked into the Darksaber.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit much, like. But yeah, I would put that. I'd put the Clone Wars very much up there with the Mandalorian, just in terms of the quality of the writing, things like that.
Yeah.
Again, it's Dave Filoni.
Well, we've discussed this as well, Ali, but Filoni and Favreau, I think, if there is going to be a next trilogy, depending on what route they're going to take after this, obviously the Skywalker saga's over, but they should get the next trilogy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. Give them a trilogy, whether it be, I don't know if I'm not entirely sure if the High Republic, i.e. the Old Republic, I don't know if that's just going to be books and series, or if that's going to be films, or if that's even been assigned to anyone, but I think that should go to them.
I don't think so yet. I think it's just been announced that it's going to be a thing. I don't think they know what it's going to be. But going from like what they've released so far, it does look like it's mainly artwork. So
what I would say is, like, that they don't mind bringing legend stuff back into canon. Bring Darth Revan back, bring Darth Malak back, Bastila, and just make a young Yoda in that. He's 900 years old. He's seen a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Do a series or, a trilogy on the past.
Exactly. Have nothing to do with Anakin, but you could nod to Anakin during the High Republic.
The chosen one.
Find the chosen one prophecy.
Yeah.
And that's your tie-in to the original, the 9-film Skywalker saga.
Exactly, and I think any Star Wars fan would like to see the Sith side of things more explored.
The Sith Empire.
How it became from a Sith Empire down to the rule of two.
Yeah, like focus that more in detail. Give us it on the screen or on Disney Plus. Let us see it.
Yeah, but put Filoni and Favreau in charge.
Yeah, as long as it's that. Don't give people that don't understand Star Wars the hot seat.
Hey, if there's a job going, we'll do it. But
aye. Let's just see how much hate we get for this podcast, let alone a trilogy. Eh?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Another aspect of Star Wars that we've enjoyed, throughout our lifetime is Star Wars video games. Whether it be PlayStation 1 up to current gen. What is your favourite game that you've played Star Wars wise, and why is that your favourite?
Right, so there was one that really annoyed me, first of all, which was the Phantom Menace on PlayStation 1 when it first came out. PlayStation 1? PlayStation 2? I can't remember.
PlayStation 1.
There was a certain bit that I could not get past. And it was right at the start, and you had to run, I think it was, you split up, you played as Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan, and you split up, and one goes down the way and one goes up the way. And you're out a corridor, and you need to get past a certain bit. And me being 6, 7, 8, I can't remember what age I was, but I couldn't get past it, and it really frustrated me. And I'm still to this day cannot remember getting past it. But my favourite game I played was the Revenge of the Sith one. I don't know why, right? But it was like 2D, and it was just, like Sonic or Mario, how you've got like the background and they've kind of phased it back a bit and they've put you in front of it and you're going like that. You fight like Grievous and Grievous. You also fight like Dooku and everything like that. And that was, I had lots of good times playing that game. So, I would say that's probably my favourite. But also you've got like, Knights of the Old Republic and the new games, Battlefront, all that kind of thing as well, which we used to play all the time.
Yeah, I remember when we're taking an absence from going out and drinking and just sitting in and playing the Battlefront 1 for the PlayStation 4. Was that PS4?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah, but it was
PS4 couldn't have long been out.
which was literally just Luke, Han, and Leia. Like they've just brought out these like a new sequel trilogy, but we'll just stick with the old. Okay, Lamel, that kind of wraps up our initial discussions. What we talked about before that we'd like to discuss. Again, just to recap, we are going to be trying to do this weekly. It's an open thing. We can cover anything Star Wars related: films, books, movies, comics, the lot. We are just doing this for fun. We understand that it's not the best looking. It's probably not the best sounding, but we are just learning. So any feedback you've got for us, good and bad, you've got to be able to take criticism and understand that. Just a few plugs just before we sort of wrap things up. We've got a Twitter for the podcast. It's at Parsec Podcast 66. We reference to Order 66 there. I've personally got a Twitch page which I do stream some Star Wars games, Fortnite with the Mandalorian skin, etc. That's twitch.tv/AlphaToonHill. If you follow me, that's very much appreciated there. Might get Lamel on Twitch later, who knows. Anything you want to say, Lamel?
Yeah, just basically, if you like the video, or if you like our podcast, just put a comment down below, like the page, subscribe if you want. As I said, we're here for fun at the end of the day, and like Alpha Toon Hill said, we are just learning. So we do apologise if anything is sounding bad or lighting's bad or anything. It's all feedback that we would like to have, so we can make it better. But yeah, if you like the page at all, give us a like. Mention it to your friends, your girlfriends, your wife, your boyfriends, anything. Anything would help us, building the platform. So it'd be great.
As all the big YouTubers say, like, share, and subscribe.
Up there.
Doing there. Leave your comments. Leave your comments doing there. Right.
See, we are still learning. So
that's it. Alpha Toon Hill signing off.
And Lamel, we'll say see you later.
May the force be with you.